I want to start here as well, Ray. So I know, of course, me and you, we primarily connected in network marketing. And so I know your story has always been you started off sweeping floors at Coast, and then you was introduced to network marketing. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So I kind of found myself in when I would say I was 23 at that time. I found myself in a crazy situation because I say that because I was making about 7.35 an hour. I was working at Kohl's. I was working, in the back in the shoe department or whatever. So at the time, I knew that hey, I wasn't making enough to even get a car. At the time, I didn't have a car or whatever. So I just didn't want to get another job. That's the crazy thing. Gotcha. I didn't want to get another job because I knew I was gonna have to do more. Yeah. And it'd be more pressure or whatever. So I don't know what I was waiting on. I was just kind of like going around, just kind of like listless a little bit, or whatever. No real purpose or whatever. And so I seen Chad had been doing network marketing for a while, for at least 3 years at that point, 2 years at that point. And he was making six figures. I was seeing his checks at 20,000, 30, 40, 50,000. Yep. And to me, it was just numbers on the screen in the beginning. Like I didn't even believe it. It just was numbers on the screen that I was seeing. But what changed everything was when I seen that he had a house. He was 21 years old, owned the house, bought the house, owned the house, had the brand new BMW outside. He was traveling, 2-3 times a month, going out of town. I'm over here scratching I'm trying to figure out how to get out of my mom's house, how to get a vehicle. Yeah. And so I finally conceded. I was so frustrated, after I got my first raise at that job that I went to his office. I remember I went to his crib, we went to the office, we talked, and I just said, man, put me down. And I didn't have the money. The crazy thing is the opportunity at the time was like $40. I didn't have the 40 to do it. He had to give me $20, you feel me, so I could bridge over to the next check. Yeah. And so just so you know, because I don't want you guys to think I'm stupid or anything, but why wouldn't I join my best friend that's making all this money and I'm just not doing it? I didn't understand it, I didn't see nothing like it. I didn't understand it. To me, it's like you got people paying $500 to do it. $500, I can give you 2 ounces. Like that's serious. Like I smoke. If I give me 2 ounces. Yeah. I take them 2 ounces up, and I can move this in about a week. And pay for my habit and make some money. Yeah. So in my mind, I'm like, I don't understand that. So why are people giving you money? You gotta understand like the person I knew at that time, he acted like the person he wanted to be until he became that person. So I'm just thinking the person that, we partied and grew up with or whatever. Yeah. So people, Mr. Thompson, like I wasn't used to all that. So, but I don't get me wrong, I respected it. I wanted it for myself. So it did take me a minute to kind of like, it all kind of clicked together to where it was a time where even when I was doing that, I wasn't making no money. Doing network marketing and stuff. And I remember like being at his crib, looking around like damn, I ain't gonna get none of this shit if I don't figure this out. I remember because I can't, in my mind, I don't see a way of paying for all this shit. Not with a job. I don't see it. I just don't. And I know there's people out there that got jobs that do pay for it. I ain't knocking nobody with no job, or whatever. I had a job myself. Yeah. I just couldn't personally figure out a way to get that with a job. I just couldn't see it. Yeah. So that's what kept me motivated when I wasn't making no money or whatever. So I would say, when I finally caught a break was a transition from that same company, that same 5 Links company. I think we both was in it.
Yeah, we were
or whatever.
Absolutely.
And so I do remember it was one time, I think I hit ED real fast.
Yeah, you did.
And we was at it was at Pascal's. It was an event that Gerald was doing.
Yeah.
And so I remember okay, so I was like, I hit me some ranks. I was ready for my award and go out there and speak. Yep. And then Gerald called Jay Morgan and somebody else up there. Yep. I was like, what the I ain't gonna lie. I was like, and don't get me wrong, no hate or nothing like that, know, but still I was like, all right, I was like, all right, damn, I did kind of feel a certain type of way. Yeah. So, I knew I had to go back, and at the time, I hit ED, but you already know I wasn't making no money, at the end of the day. So it's not like I had a check to go back and be excited about or nothing like that. Exactly. motivate, self-motivate. I had to switch up a lot of stuff. Hell.
And let me stop you there, right? Because one thing you may not know is I brag on you all the time to this day. To like people that I work with in business, to even sales. Antonio that's filming this, he'll tell you. I brag on you all the time. And what I mean by that is when we was in 5 Links, like you say, I may not necessarily get an award at that time. I can't recall what I may not have. But what I will say is your work ethic.
He ain't know I was going to throw that one in there. We ain't talking about that.
Your work ethic.
But Joe, my boy, man.
Oh, yeah, you already know, bro. But your work ethic, Ray, I tell people all the time, I would call because you assigned some people up the day before, and I call your phone the next morning, like really wanting to congratulate you on the signups, and Ray, your phone be going straight to voicemail, and you may call me back an hour later, hour and a half, 2 hours, and you're like, bro, I'm in here making calls, right? You was getting to it. Your work ethic was on a whole other level. That was in the beginning, right? Even though 5 Links compensation plan was broken, we weren't being rewarded for the work that we should have been.
Not at all.
But, bro, you always had that work ethic.
Not at all, and I appreciate you saying that. And so, like I said, Gerald was my boy. He ain't know I was going to toss that in there. But when he called me about this podcast, it was no brainer. It took a month because we was both busy being in and out of town. But it was no brainer we was going to do this, So that's just a respect I got for G, for even having me on here.
Yeah.
But, I mean, like I said, it came from once I seen it all as possible. Once I seen, okay, you can actually do this. It's people that's looking like me that's doing this. It's not just Chad.
Right.
Y'all got to understand, too, why I didn't do this stuff. Chad was always that lucky ass. Y'all got to understand that. Like, when we grew up, Chad always had that luck. I don't know what it's called, but whatever people want to call it, but he's always had that, he's always had that edge over everybody.
Yeah.
So that was, expected. You know what I'm saying? So nobody competed with it. You just let them have it or whatever. Yeah. And so just because Chad's doing something, it's just like, man, that's Chad, and I hate to keep throwing his name out there like that, but I ain't talking nothing about good stuff. But long story short, that was him. You feel me? That's him doing it or whatever. And so that was another reason. But when I seen it all as possible, really what kind of changed everything for me is, man, I ain't never flown on a plane. It took me till 24 years old to fly on a plane. So when I flew on a plane in New York for Wake Up Now, which was a company, that's when I kind of caught my first big break. So I guess I'll back it up a little bit. And so I got involved in 5 Links after MCA, a company called MCA, $40 to get in, and you get paid $80 or whatever, just by getting somebody to pay $40. So you can really kind of come up on some money. So I joined 5 Links, and I think my first month I put in one person, literally put in one person. I remember thinking yeah, you ain't gonna hit nothing with one person a month. That's just piss poor.
Yeah.
I was like, I ain't going nowhere. So that's the first thing I was thinking. So I was like, I gotta switch. And so I think the next month, I think I probably got 3 people or whatever. I don't know, but it could have been 3.
Yeah.
And so improvement, So obviously what happened is I got more comfortable having the same conversation. So, but I think month 3, I think I may have put in 6 people that month. And you gotta just understand, this is 5 Links. It's $500 plus all these fees to get in.
Yep.
So 4 or 5 people a month. That back then, that's a straight month. Y'all gotta understand. It's not nowadays where you're putting in 3, 4 people a day and 10 people a week. This was a different time back then.
Right.
And so I wasn't making no money. So that kind of was a thing, but I seen something though. This is the crazy thing, y'all. So it's 2 things I seen. So when I started doing network marketing, I came in at the time where you just started being able to post a picture from your phone to Facebook. And Instagram just came out. You used to have a computer to do that.
Yeah.
But now it's on your phone. Now everybody didn't have a smartphone at that time.
Right.
But when I got involved or whatever, more and more people was getting smartphones. So long story short, I came in at a good time because all the stuff that you could do marketing back then, you can't do now. And so that is another thing that got me. It used to be able to post all this money in cars and stuff. And you have 20 signups a day back then. Literally 20 signups a day. And now you can't do that no more. People they don't care about you because everybody's doing it.
Right. Exactly.
So, but before, it got so much attention just doing that, and so, and don't get me wrong, the industry has progressed, but long story short, so I get into this Wake Up Now company or whatever from 5 Links, But as I'm getting in, I'm realizing, okay, I need people. I need leaders because I need leaders. So then I thought about it, and I'm like, all right, this is before Chad even told me. And I'm like, I might as well keep going to the filings meetings, and I might as well just see who would like to do Wake Up Now. So that's the first thing I thought, because I'm like, okay, all you need is 10 people who can get 10 people. So I was like, I bet. So, I was raw in the beginning. So, I was coming in there. Yeah, Chad sent me. Yeah, we rolling out. So, I was getting them in trouble and stuff like that or whatever. So, I was rough. But then I learned, I was getting screenshotted and all that. But then I learned how to move more meticulously, how to move more strategically or whatever. I didn't learn in that company, but it did put me in a situation where, a lot of people coming over from that company did not like me. Or whatever, because of what I was doing, how I was doing it.
I remember.
And what didn't make it any better was because I couldn't say, like, once I realized I couldn't say Chad's name, it's like, so he was throwing me up under the bus, goddamn. Like, yeah, that's Ray, goddamn. But I get it, because he got to keep his check over there. So it's like, I already know, what I'm saying, what the situation is or whatever. But yeah, he's like, yeah, that's Ray, goddamn. I don't know, he crazy. And so, then people mad at me.
I remember all this. I remember. Ray, I remember this, because I would tell you this, right? Yes, 5 Links was going downhill, and I had people within my organization that was going over to Wake Up Now, and I heard some of them was going over with you, Ray. I had heard that. And I'm going to be quite frank, I was like, oh, man, I was a little upset at that time. And then I was hearing about, as well, Chad had some involvement at that time, but I was still holding down the 5 Link side, even with Chad, right, at that particular time. And you're right,
You were
Chad was under smoke. Chad was under smoke with the company.
Fire, lava.
Yeah, it was crazy. Yeah, I remember that.